Welcome back to Newsmakers. On the panel, Gilmore, Kathryn Dalziel and Bruce Ansley. The Agriculture Minister has been rebuked by his boss for telling National Party delegates last weekend that the sale of Crayford farms to a Chinese-backed dairy firm has no show of taking place. David Carter says the Overseas Investment Office is unlikely to approve the deal. Was this welcome news you gleaned from David Carter a few days ago?
It was for me. I mean, well, Dave may be a bit clumsy about it, but I think he's on the right track. And why should the Overseas Investment Office approve it? They're bound only to transfer New Zealand assets to people of good character. This company is headed up by Mei Wang, who's got a long list of failures in this country, and there's 100,000 odd investors that would strongly disagree that she's of good character. Indeed.
I would imagine, Aaron, that you have the great luxury of having looser lips, legitimately, than David Carter for the purposes of this discussion.
Only that was true, Mike.
Well, you don't have the ministerial strictures surrounding Mr Carter. Would you be of the view that it is unlikely the OIO will approve this deal? Yeah,
well, firstly, there is no deal currently before the OIO, so I have to be quite clear about that. There's actually no deal to approve, so from that perspective, it's very hard to sort of say what should or shouldn't be approved. There are very tight rules around the Overseas Investment Office process, particularly around land, particularly around sensitive land, and it's sure enough that Crayford farms tick a lot of those boxes. Bruce is right, there is a whole lot of tests in there around good character and other things for New Zealand, and we're yet to see whether the people who are buying the Crayford farms, if they are successful, who is one of the potential parties is the Wang outfit, whether they actually put forward an application which meets the criteria. We're just boxing at shadows and making things up at the moment. We've got lots of overseas companies that people get upset about. We had Shania Twain buy a big chunk up the Central Otago. At the time, everyone thought that was bad, but a process application got put forward and people got comfortable with it.
Yeah.
You can't say we don't like a certain type of person because of the colour of their skin. I mean, that's racism.
It's true, but I think what bugs a lot of New Zealanders is the likes of Fonterra cannot buy one blade of grass in China. Why should we allow Chinese-backed dairy interests to essentially set up their own farm-to-retail supply chain from New Zealand?
One of the heaviest investors overseas at the moment, World Dairy Farms, is New Zealand Dairy Farms, buying farms in China, Uruguay, Chile, Argentina.
If it's in China, it would have to be a joint venture.
Well, that's a Chinese law generally. It's not particularly just to farming. That's just Chinese law around land ownership. There are particular examples that fall outside that and allows some flexibility. But generally, you're right. It does require a joint venture with a Chinese party.
Yeah. What do you think, Kathryn?
I just want to encourage David Carter to make these sorts of statements. Actually, he should, because that means work for me.
Right.
Because when ministers start saying what's going to happen before they happen, that's called a little thing called predetermination.
Indeed.
And that just opens up judicial review for people like me. So he's just to be encouraged. I think Mr Carter needs to take a leaf out of Mr Gilmore's book and not comment on things before they happen. And you can pass on that advice to him, Aaron, because I think you are well advised to keep out of these things.
I love it. Just a very quick comment on the Duchess of York. I think the tabloid some years ago dubbed her the Duchess of Pork, and they probably could now dub her the Duchess of Money Talks. In the great gallery of royal scandals, is this a biggie, Aaron?
I try to stay out of the royal family. It's not something I follow in depth, and I think it's clearly that if someone doing that can sell lots of newspapers, good on her. I mean, she's trying to make a career for herself. What she's done is wrong. But I do believe that there is a lot of focus on anything the royal family does or doesn't do, and poor Fergie has got herself tied on a whole lot of knots operating illegally, and I think she should be treated like any other citizen as a result.
Is this big?
I just think that Fergie has confirmed by her behaviour the opinion that I've suspected the Queen has always held about her.
Bruce, is this junk journalism or legitimate stuff?
Well, if it wasn't Fergie, it would be legitimate, wouldn't it? So why is it not legitimate? Simply because it's Fergie. I think it's legitimate. They caught her out in quite a big scam.
Yeah.
So, and one that's of considerable public interest.
Indeed.
But we're talking about it on the other side of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, free shot time. Heroes and villains of the week. You have 30 seconds apiece to set the world to rights. Aaron.
Andy Hayden. All I want to say is what as an Aucklander, as a former All Black, got to say about Canterbury rugby, he can't get Auckland rugby sorted so badly that he decides to have a cheap shot at the Crusaders. And the Crusaders are the most successful rugby team in New Zealand, and long may that continue.
All right, Mr. Ansley.
Well, I can't work out whether he's criticising us or praising us. You know, it's but he's an Aucklander. I've seen that kind of jibe before. For example, 7 Days last Friday night. You know, Christchurch is criticised for being too white, usually by people who then retreat to the North Shore, as far away from South Auckland as they can possibly get.
Yeah. All right, Kathryn.
And I was just going to talk about the arrival of winter and just say that on behalf of Taylor Shaw, we think that rain is God's way of saying buy a new coat.
Very good. To the pick of the week. And if the weather has made your life a trial lately, this image may help put it into context. Now, this is a case of the balloon that got away from its owner. By the way, this was shot a couple of weeks ago, right? In the end, this fella let go of the rope. He did fall to the ground safely, and an Air Force jet was called in to shoot the balloon down. But everyone is safe. Isn't that nice? To the NewsMakers poll, this week's question: should the New Zealand government intervene in the trial of Peter Bethune in Japan? Yes or no? Email newsmakers@ctv.co.nz, or you can use Postman Pat if you like, PO Box 1100 Christchurch. Do so and you'll be in to win the Pack and Save shopping card and also the finest, freshest, weather-defying coffee from Cafe Aurora. Good luck to you. By the way, I've got about 30 seconds up my sleeve. The All Whites and the Socceroos, were we done in? Was there a bit of dodginess over the timekeeping?
Yeah, the guy who took out Tim Brown.
Yes.
That guy should have been sent off.
Yes.
And he shouldn't be playing in the Soccer World Cup. He's taken out one of their best players.
Yes.
And it's ruined that young man's potential opportunity for his best opportunity in his entire life before thousands of people.
Yes.
He shouldn't be playing anymore.
And that was a very long injury period add-on time, wasn't it?
No, totally agree. That was just appalling.
Yes.
They're playing soccer the way they play netball.
Yes. I think we need a judicial review.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'd be delighted to assist.
Thank you very much to our panel, Bruce Ansley, Kathryn Dalziel. If you need any legal counsel, Kathryn is your woman.
3794114.
David Carter, I hope you got the number. And Aaron Gilmore, good to see you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much for your company. Do keep warm and dry. We'll see you next week. Good night.